The Tempest. Act 1, Scene 2, lines 107 to 158. In the last session, we learned that Prospero's immersion in his studies and Antonio's hunger for power brought on Miranda and Prospero expulsion from their own dukedom. In this session, let us see how they were expelled and who really helped them. First, listen to the audio version of the lines.
To have no screen between this part he played and him he played it for, he needs will be absolute Milan. Me, poor man, my library was dukedom large enough. Of temporal royalties he thinks me now incapable. Confederates, so dry he was for sway, with the king of Naples, to give him annual tribute, do him homage, subject his coronet to his crown, and bend the dukedom, yet unbowed, alas, poor Milan, to most ignoble stooping.
Oh, the heavens!
Mark his condition and the event, then tell me if this might be a brother.
I should sin to think but nobly of my grandmother. Good wombs have borne bad sons.
Now the condition. This king of Naples, being an enemy to me inveterate, hearkens my brother's suit, which was that he, in lieu of the premises, of homage and I know not how much tribute, should presently extirpate me and mine out of the dukedom, and confer fair Milan with all the honours on my brother. Whereon a treacherous army levied, one midnight fated to the purpose, did Antonio open the gates of Milan, and in the dead of darkness the ministers for the purpose hurried thence me and thy crying self.
Oh, alack, for pity! I, not remembering how I cried out then, will cry it o'er again. It is a hint that rings mine eyes to it.
Hear a little further, and then I'll bring thee to the present business which now's upon us, without the which this story were most impertinent.
Wherefore did they not that hour destroy us?
Well demanded, wench, my tale provokes that question. Dear, they durst not, so dear the love my people bore me, nor set a mark so bloody on the business, but with colours fairer painted their foul ends. In few, they hurried us aboard a bark, bore us some leagues to sea, where they prepared a rotten carcass of a boat, not rigged, nor tackle, sail, nor mast. The very rats instinctively have quit it. There they hoist us, to cry to the sea that roared to us, to sigh to the winds, whose pity, sighing back again, did us but loving wrong.
Alack, what trouble was I then to you!
Oh, a cherubin thou wast that did preserve me. Thou didst smile, infused with a fortitude from heaven, when I have decked the sea with drops full salt, under my burthen groaned, which raised in me an undergoing stomach to bear up against what should ensue.
How came we ashore?
The text in detail. Continuing on his tale, Prospero says, to have no screen between this part he played and him he played it for, he needs will be absolute Milan. He says he is Antonio here. So he was playing the role of being the Duke, but to get rid of the last thing separating the role he was playing from who he was, he had to become the actual Duke of Milan. Me, poor man, my library was dukedom large enough. As for me, my library was large enough for me. For temporal royalties, he thinks me now incapable. Confederates, so dry was he was for sway with the king of Naples. Having decided that I was unable to run or rule my city, he became so thirsty for power that he secretly allied with the king of Naples to get rid of me. To give him annual tribute, do him homage, subject his coronet to his crown, and bend the duke yet unbowed, alas poor Milan, to most ignoble stooping. Here, coronet is power, homage is respect, ignoble, humiliating, stooping is lowering or bowing down or surrendering. So what does he say here? In return, Antonio agreed to pay the King of Naples a certain amount of money every year, to swear to obey him and to force his dukedom, which had always been independent, or for Milan, into the shameful position of being under Naples' control. So Prospero is feeling pity for the entire dukedom of Milan. And now Miranda says, "Oh, the heavens!" Expression of exclamation, "Oh my God," something like that. And Prospero continues on. He says, "Mark his condition and the event, then tell me if this might be a brother. Think about this pact, then tell me if Antonio can really be thought of as a brother." And Miranda says, I should sin to think but nobly of my grandmother." She remembers her grandmother here. "Good wombs have borne bad sons." She says, "I would be wicked if I had anything other than good thoughts about my grandmother." She is tempted to think bad about her grandmother because such a son she has borne, such a son as Antonio. But good women sometimes give birth to bad sons. Now the condition. Now listen to the outcome of their secret alliance. "The King of Naples, being an enemy to me inveterate, hearkens to my brother's suit." So, King, being an enemy of mine, listens to my brother's request. But he has a condition. What is the condition? Which was that he, in lieu of the premises of homage, and I know not how much of tribute, should presently extirpate me and mine out of the dukedom. Antonio asked that the king, in return of his oath and loyalty, and however much money he had paid to the king each year, would immediately remove me and all of immediate family from Milan, because King of Naples did not like Prospero, and confer fair Milan with all the honor on my brother, whereon a treacherous army levied, and then give the dukedom to my brother. So remove Prospero and his immediate family and give the dukedom to Antonio. So then they raised an army to pull off this treachery. They created an army, a treacherous army. One midnight, fated to the purpose, did Antonio open the gates of Milan, and in the dead of darkness, the ministers for the purpose hurried thence, me and thy crying self. So one midnight, on the date they'd chosen to act, Antonio opened the gates of Milan, and in the deep darkness. Why deep darkness? Because people loved Prospero and his family, so they had to do this at night. Had the agents he'd chosen for the job rush me and you crying out of there. So you and me, they ousted from the kingdom or the dukedom in the middle of the night. Alack for pity, I not remembering how I cried out then, will cry it over again. It is a hint that wrings mine eyes to it. Alas, how sad! I cannot remember crying then, but now I'll cry about it all over again. This story wrings tears from my eyes. This story squeezes out tears from my eyes. That much I feel sad about this. Hear a little further. Listen to it further. And then I'll bring thee to the present business which now is upon us. That's the meaning of that. Without the which this story were most impertinent, irrelevant. Without the present day business, this story will be impertinent or irrelevant. Wherefore did they not that are destroyers? Why didn't they just kill us when they took us from Milan? Well, demanded wench, my tale provokes that question. Dear, they durst not, so dear the love my people bore me. So Miranda is asking, why didn't they kill us? Just kill us there and then. And Prospero answers saying, good question, girl. And my story does indeed bring up that question. My dear, they didn't dare because I was so loved by the people of Milan, nor set a mark so bloody on the business, but with colors fairer painted their foul ends. Antonio and Alonso had to keep any blood from staining their actions and hide their evil goals behind a prettier picture. So they made it look very good. Okay, they did not spill any blood. In few, they hurried us aboard a bark. Bark is a sailing ship here. Bore us some leagues to sea, bore us, carried us some distant, a few kilometers, a few miles to the sea, where they prepared a rotten carcass, where they had another boat which was just a carcass, a skeleton of a boat, not rigged, not equipped, nor roped, no sail, nor even a mast. The very rats instinctively had quitted. Even the rats would have quitted instinctively. There they hoist us, there they howled us, to cry to the sea that roared to us. We cried to the sea that roared back to us, because that was too rough. To sigh, we moaned, we cried to the winds for pity, whose pity, sighing back again, did us but loving wrong. We sighed in sadness to the wind, which sighed back in pity, and in doing so, it buffeted us with the winds that, no matter how loving, only made us more uncomfortable. Alack, what trouble was I then to you? Oh my God, what trouble I must have been then to you. Oh cherubim, Prospero loves his daughter and he calls her angel. Cherubim is angel. Thou wast that did preserve me. You are the one who protected me, who made me live. Thou didst smile. You did smile, and that smile filled, infused with a fortitude from heaven, filled me with the courage from heaven. When I have decked the sea with drops full salt means drops, teardrops. When I filled the boat with my tears, salty tears, under my burden is burden, which raised in me an undergoing stomach. When I saw your smile, that raised in me a courage. Undergoing stomach is courage to bear up against what should ensue, to um, to bear what was to follow. And Miranda asks, "How came we ashore? How did we come ashore with that broken piece of boat?" So in this session, Miranda is being told about how she and her father were ousted out of their own home by her own uncle. In the next session, we will learn about how they made it to the shore. Thank you.